Hi, Dr. Reagan Robertson, CCO of Productive Dentist Academy here, and I have a question for you. Are you finding it hard to get your team aligned to your vision, but you know you deserve growth just like everybody else? That's why we've created the PDA Productivity Workshop. For nearly 20 years, PDA workshops have helped dentists just like you align their teams, get control of scheduling, and create productive practices that they love walking into every day. Just imagine how you will feel when you know your schedule is productive, your systems are humming, and your team is aligned to your vision. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. We can help. Visit productivedentist.com/workshop. That's productivedentist.com/workshop to secure your seats now.
And what we've come to learn, what we know, is that there are really only three options when I tell a patient how much their treatment's going to be. I call it ballparking. I'm giving them a ballpark of their fee. I think it's critical that you do that so that it's going to help every other system in your office.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast, and looking forward to sharing with you some of the ideas. I had another question about how do you do financial arrangements? Are financial arrangements part of your case presentation? And you would think, well, yes, it is, because people always want to know how much it is. Do you have special people do you have a special person that does all your financial arrangements? And my answer to that is no. I really wanted presenting financial options to a patient to not necessarily be completely associated with the getting a patient to say yes to treatment. And when I say saying yes to treatment, meaning I want you to be the dentist that I work with. I really like your office. I like your team. I love everything about this place. I really want to do this work here. And that is getting a patient to say yes to treatment. Now, getting them to schedule, that is where, what comes in is the financial arrangements. And I've talked about this for years and trying to figure out different methods that work and different things that worked well for me. What I know is if I can get in relationship with the patient during the exam process, the financial arrangements become much easier. If the patient really wants the work that we're talking about, then it's really much easier with the financial arrangements. Now, I've had docs that I've worked with before said, I'm looking for somebody who can just sell dentistry, an assistant or a treatment coordinator. I want to hire somebody from the bank. And my point about that is, well, okay, that's you can do that, but you don't need to. I had somebody from Walmart. I had somebody that was a vet or a vet assistant, and I had somebody that was a massage therapist that came to work in our practice, and all of our team are trained to do the financial arrangements. It's my job to get patients to want the treatment in our office, and it's our whole team's job to have that aura that this is the place you want to be. But as I'm presenting treatment, that's where I go through the risk factors, and before I do that, I always want to get to know the patient. You guys have heard my podcast in the past. I need to find out about you. I need to find out ways we can link and match and mirror and really build a relationship. I like working on people who are my friends. And so my goal when I come in the room is first, I want to meet you and I want to find out enough stuff about you that we can start to have things in common and that we become friends. If I see you downtown, I can say, hey, how's it going? And they can do the same with me. And I've had thousands of patients over the years. I love going out in town here. I've been in the same town for 40 years. And I just love seeing people that have been my patients and that I've done their smile. I had a party not long ago that I went to, and the people that were coming in, they were all friends, and 6 out of the 8, I had done a brand new smile for them. So that was really exciting for me because I thought, you know what, I really have, walked the talk. I'm doing what I said. I just love working on my friends, and that takes confidence, but it also I know that I can help their smile and I can make their smile look great. But what about when it comes down to the financial arrangement? What's the ideal? Well, what ends up happening in most offices today is, and I'm going to use third-party financing as an example, you give them options. You can pay half now, half later. You can pay a third, which really makes no sense anymore. And what you end up doing is saying, well, let's try to get you approved on one third-party financing. Maybe it's Care Credit. Let's try over here with Proceed, or let's try over here. And you keep trying until you may get somebody a yes, or you may not. What about the patient who says, I can't afford it? Well, my question to you as a listener is, do you want your team to have to come back and find you somewhere in the office and have you come back in to come up with a different treatment plan? Well, I don't like that. And what we've come to learn, what we know, is that you're really only 3 options when I tell a patient how much their treatment's going to be. I call it ballparking. I'm giving them a ballpark of their fee. I think it's critical that you do that so that it's going to help every other system in your office. Because what I'll do is, the average treatment plan for many of you out there is maybe $2,500 or $3,000. As you get more experience and you get training and implants and all that stuff, I think my average treatment plan was over $13,000, $13,580 or something in that neighborhood. So I do need more financial options. However, if I'm marketing to people who know that the dentistry is more expensive, many of the times they come with money and they actually don't need the financial arrangements. But oftentimes I'll just say, Bob, and this is critical, I know you probably already knew this, but you have probably $15,000 in damage. Now, I already know that it was only $11,250 because we did the treatment plan. But the patient's going to say one of 3 things. Number one, they're going to say, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a lot. I knew I've been wanting to get this done. I knew it was going to be a lot. What does that mean to you as a dentist? Get your ass out of the way. Leave it alone. They're ready to go. They want you to do it. And now's the time to do it and get your team to help. Because your team, and I don't care if you have a dedicated person or your treatment I call my treatment coordinators they help me chairside, they coordinate treatment, they get acceptance, and we go down and down. But they are the most important people in my office when it comes to my systems that are in play. But they are simply showing them a sheet that says these are the options that you have. So I like that. The second thing they could say is, wow, get that surprised look on their face. And they go, oh, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I said, well, yeah, things have really, a lot of times they'll say, well, I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't know it was going to be that much. And I'll say, Bob, let me ask you a question. I understand totally because healthcare keeps going up, dental keeps going up. I've been doing dentistry for 40 something years. What I can tell you is it's never gotten cheaper in the 40 plus years that I've been doing it. But how much did you think it was going to be? And Bob will say, well, I didn't know it was going to be 12. I thought it might be 7 or 8. That's the time where you say, no problem. we'll figure out a way. You can use that as a down payment if you want, and we'll figure out a way for some convenient monthly payments so you can get your work done. Now, those two are ideal options. When you get one of those two, you're cooking with gas. It's going to be awesome. The problem is, what about the one who goes, this is the third option? Oh my gosh, no, sorry. I got 3 kids in college. I got my car broke down. My air conditioner's out. Whatever their excuse is, yada, yada, yada. It's okay. That's their situation, not yours. And how does my team as a patient advocate help that patient? Well, let's figure it out now while my team is in the room and I'm still in the room. Because then I'm going to say, well, you know what? I totally understand that. I was in that situation when I had kids in school. I just totally understand it. I said, let's look at it this way, Bob. You've got some active cavities. You've got some gum issues. You've got these things. Let's get those fixed. Because that's, we're not going to be doing a lot of the Taj Mahal front teeth or anything, but we've got to get these things fixed. Why? Because that cavity that's on your back molar back there, we don't want it to turn into a root canal, which adds another $1,000 or more of work to your total work. We don't want to let an abscess tooth infect other teeth and cause you to lose a lot of bone, because that will cost you more later. Let's get your gums in good health and let's keep them in good health. That's much less costly than doing some of these other procedures, but it's going to help you in the long haul. And, when it gets time, when the time is right, then yes, we'll get to these other things. And if your financial situation changes, absolutely, we'll get to those things. I hear people all the time, and there's some really top lecturers out there, and they say, look in the patient's mouth and do one crown. Pick out which tooth and then prove to them that you're a good dentist and that they're going to like you. And then later they're going to come and do the rest. That's total bullshit. And I know guys that are out there doing it. I can tell you their names. It's not worth it. But what I can tell you is, if I go to the elbow doctor, I don't want him telling, well, I could do the inside of your elbow and then we'll do the outside later. Or let's fix your heart. You've got 3 blockages. Let's do one now to see how well you do. No, that's BS. Tell the patient what you would do in your own mouth if it was you. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to say, yep, I knew it was going to be a lot. Number 2 is they're going to say, whoop, I didn't know it was that much. Well, how much do you think it was going to be, Bob? Or there's no way I can't do it. And I changed the treatment plan. I change the order. Instead of doing build up, crown, whatever, I'm going to do the build up first. I'm going to do the minimal treatment to keep them healthy. I'm also going to, which I do at every appointment, no matter whether that's they're the first response or the last response, I'm going to tell them about the things that they're doing, because remember, we did the risk factors. I'm going to be telling them about the things like, you're not going to be able to drink the Dr. Pepper. If you keep drinking it, anything I do now or later or anytime, it's just going to be gone. I still need to get you in here once every 4 months for a cleaning. I know that's significant, but it's a whole lot better than $7,000. You might be spending $150, every, 4 or 5 months. So these are the things that I look at. So if someone asks me about financial arrangements are definitely tied to the system we put in place, how we go through it with patients, and whether my team is always going to be the patient's advocate to try to find a way for them to get the work done. My goal is also to try to help the patient get work done. It may not be the full meal deal like I want, but I'm damn sure not going to tell them, let's just do one crown and see how we do. That's ridiculous. And it's why 95% of all crowns in the U.S. are done one at a time. And it's why people think that you're trying to rip them off. If you get to know them and you get in a relationship with them, when you tell them, by saying, I know you probably already knew this, but you have $12,000 worth of damage. By doing that, you're in the game. You're actually getting patients to say yes to treatment. Your production, once you learn to schedule it properly, your production per hour is not just going to go up. It's going to double. and then it's going to double again. And so what I'm saying is this is the time. It's the time, we're starting a new year. It's time to come up with some new game plans that are more successful, that aren't insurance driven. And that's what I love about dentistry. There's lots of ways to do things. I'm not saying my way is the only way, but I'm saying my way has been very successful for thousands of dentists. So I challenge you, get signed up for the Productive Dentist Academy workshops, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.